Let's talk about depression. I seen a couple of assholes on YouTube talking about depression, and I just shook my head. They had no idea what they were talking about. And I just love it when people give advice to young men and they have no clue what they're talking about. And yet, they have a very strong following, which becomes very dangerous to these young men. You know, when I was growing up, and it still happens today, you'll see a boy break up with a girl or a girl break up with a boy, and to them, it's the end of the world. And they commit suicide. When your kids get to be teenagers and they start dating, you think you're pretty safe. You're thinking, well, they're pretty good, healthy adults. They're looking better. They're not. They have no idea how to deal with those feelings or what's going on in their lives. They've had no practice with it. And you really need to pay attention to your kids when they start to turn into teenagers. The smallest little thing can make them so depressed. Depression, look at it like this. When antelopes are running and lions are chasing them, a lion will always pick the weakest at the back. The lion does not have to exert very much energy, and it's an easy kill. And that's what happens when depression sets in. You are that antelope, and people are just waiting to take you out. Don't ever get on social media and act like there's people out there that care. You may have a few that do, but the problem is there are so many others watching and circling like the lions, the trolls, and more that have a hatred towards you. They look at it as their opportunity to push you further, to see if they can push you into suicide. This goes on all the time. When somebody's standing at the top of a building and they're getting ready to jump, the people at the bottom will be yelling, "Jump, jump, jump." They won't be yelling, "Don't do it." This is just the way life is. Some people that are in their strongest moment, that have never dealt with depression, they will sit back and they will say, "Oh, he's just weak. It's part of life. Time for him to go." People are so misunderstanding. In my 60 years of life, the most highest depression in my life was when my mother died. A couple months later, my father died. A month later or so, they told me when my wife was having surgery to prepare for the worst because she might die of some type of cancer. If the surgery went wrong. And I was like, all this hit me at once. I was a walking robot. I woke up, I went to bed, I woke up, I went to bed. I couldn't work on client site. My brain was pure fog. I was out of it. And I even Googled how long it takes a person to get over a family member dying, and Google said 6 months. And do you know that was right? I think it was about 5.5 months, but Google was dead on. A death in the family requires 6 months of time for you to heal. It's not going to happen in 1 week. It's not going to happen in 2 weeks. You need to go through that time. And during that time, there are people that consider suicide. And that's just the way it is. So, in our weakest moments, we do the stupidest things. Now, Andrew Tate was over there yelling, "Oh, just work out, just work out." I've never heard anything so stupid in my life. There was another guy I seen in the short. He apparently trains young men in how to become millionaires, which is a bunch of fucking bullshit. But he's able to convince young men because of the young minds are not old enough to think yet. He had a 45-year-old man contact him, and that 45-year-old man was asking for help because I guess he lived in his mama's basement most of his life and didn't know what to do. This guy was a prick. This guy said, "I can't help you. You wasted too many years of your life. You're a done deal." He basically was telling that guy to kill himself. I never heard anything so stupid in my life. I don't care what age you are or what you do or what you've done in your life. If you make a conscious choice to change, your life will get better. If you're addicted to drugs and you're on meth and you've been that way for 2 years and all of a sudden you get clean, and the odds of that are so much against you. But if you're one of the few that pulls it off, I've seen people go on to live productive lives. So it's kind of crazy. I've seen people that have gone to jail for 10 years and come out and become millionaires. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day, or what's happening down the road. At that moment in time in your life, you are depressed, and it may take time for you to become undepressed. But you have to remember, when you're depressed, you're that antelope running at the back of that herd, and those lions are clawing at your legs. This is a time in your life you are going to make the most stupidest choices in your life. You may decide to try meth. You may decide to drink alcohol. You may decide to drink too much and end up in the hospital. You may decide to start cutting your arms. All the choices you're going to make at that time in your life are going to be the dumbest choices you make. If you can learn that one thing, when I'm depressed, I'm going to make stupid choices. At least you may stop yourself from making those stupid choices until you finally get through and outrun those lions. That's all there is to it. And like I said, there's different levels. There's different levels to depression. If it's a time when you can push your way through by working out, like Andrew Tate says, he seems to think that fixes everything, which it doesn't. But great, you're at maybe a level 1. But if you've gotten to level 10 and you're at the point of suicide, you need help. You need to pick up that phone. You need to call somebody. You need to get help. And I don't mean get help on social media. Don't get help from family. Don't get help. No. Get help from a professional. Somebody that's gone to school for it. Somebody that has talked to many, many people. Somebody that has the experience. Because they may have the key to what you're looking for. If you look at, I seen a short on a Ukraine soldier, and he had said that he had lost 4 or 5 comrades that morning, and he was sitting there eating his lunch, and he'd said how this chocolate cookie was really good, and he was surprised he had it. He looked forward to that chocolate cookie. Somehow, this man has endured multiple deaths, and now he's getting used to it. Now, some people get PTSD, some people have other issues, but he has learned how to deal with it. As human beings, we can learn how to deal with anything. But one thing's for sure. Depression is nothing to laugh at. It's nothing to joke around about. It's nothing to insult somebody for. It's nothing to come after somebody when they're in their weakest moment of their life. If you notice somebody that seems super depressed and they are your friend, be there for them. Don't insult them. Don't call them names. Don't blow it up on social media. Don't tell a bunch of other people where they can now insult this person. Be this person's rock. If they need to lean on you, be there. And that's all there is to it. Sometimes, and it's not all the time, sometimes some depression just needs time to heal, like a cut. You cut your arm, you cut your leg. It takes 3 months to heal. That's just what it's going to be. You can't speed that up. You can't shake a wand over it and all of a sudden you're all healed up. That's not how it works. And depression is something people don't normally see. I mean, Robin Williams, I believe, committed suicide. And it was due to depression. He was one of the top comedians out there, and yet he'd make everybody else laugh, but he couldn't make himself laugh. Depression is so real. And if anybody scoffs at it or puts other people down or just does it, they're evil. Keep that in mind. They're evil. They're not a friend. If you see somebody putting somebody down because, oh, look at that guy, how weak he was. He committed suicide. Well, that tells you what they think of that. They're not a friend. They're somebody that's not going to be there for you. You might get lucky in some things when you do get depressed. just require time, like when my parents passed. It just required time to heal until you come to terms with it. And then it's like one day you're completely depressed, the next day you're completely fine. It was really weird. But depression is real, and some people need help. And if you see any of these so-called influencers talking to young men and sitting back acting like they're some big, strong mountain guy because they work out, give me a freaking break. We are all human. We all bleed. We all feel, all in different levels, but we do. If you're super depressed, please, please, please get help with the suicide hotlines they have out there. Don't go to social media. Those people on social media, they're nothing but a bunch of lions chasing down the antelope. So keep that in mind. Keep yourself healthy, keep your mind strong, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.